Your voice can shape Singapore's future. Hi everyone, my name is Alvin. I'm happy to be here with our friends from the youth panel, and we'll ask them a couple of questions about what they hope for Singapore and their experiences on the youth panel.
I'm Shalini, I'm a corporate lawyer and I'm from Tech Hacks.
Hi, I'm Wen-Ting. I'm from Job Hacks. I run a social enterprise called Hatch, preparing underprivileged youths for jobs in digital marketing and UI UX.
Hi, I'm Ilya. I'm currently working in the financial sector and I'm with Life Hacks.
Hi, my name is Preston and I'm from Green Hacks, and I'm also the co-founder of Treat, a company that tackles food waste in Singapore.
So guys, tell me about your experience with the youth panel. What made you decide to join the youth panels, and how has your experience been so far?
As a patriotic Singaporean, I do feel that the youth panels was a really, really interesting and cool concept where, as a youth, you feel empowered to use this platform and share your concerns with the government. I think that's an incredible work of social innovation. So that's why I joined the youth panel.
30 years down the road, we will all be someone who needs help. If we don't start now to pave what we want forward, then it's going to be a problem that we will face down the road. That's what made me want to join it.
I'm thankful that the youth panels gave us that platform to be able to understand more about these sort of inner workings of the government, and we were all, I think, very, very pleasantly surprised as to how much engagement which we were able to receive and how much our ideas could really come into fruition with the help of government behind us.
You know, it's not always the outcome, it's also the journey. And the journey is important, and I wondered whether any of you had reflections about the journey, and what are some of these considerations that you have now discovered that are so important and so intrinsic to the process of policy making.
I think I'm grateful that as part of the Tech Hacks panel, we were able to engage with multiple stakeholders across private sectors, ministries. It's hard to think of a final outcome that will be able to satisfy everyone. I think ultimately it's to try to figure out how we can achieve the most outcome, the most impact, without ruffling the feathers too much, you know. So
yeah, I totally hear you.
It's a delicate balance.
I think we have experienced that already multiple times, especially when we wish to introduce or propose, some of these recommendations. And then we engage the government agencies and the industry, and we realize that actually the financial costs and also manpower costs related to having some of these recommendations. And then we have to go back to the drawing table to re-pivot or rethink our recommendations to factor in some of these costs.
Which also brings us to Wan-Ching, because I think what you're doing with Job Hacks is really, really important. I mean, we've dealt with a lot of different issues like flexible working arrangements, skills, how much time do you spend studying versus how much time do you spend working? What are some of these different communication or issues that have arisen?
When you're in different stages of your life, you consider different things. So for a lot of the younger youths who are starting out their career, they're very concerned about exposure. They're concerned about job opportunities. They're concerned whether going for this opportunity is going to help them get a leg up in the corporate world. Whereas for the older youths, they may be considering more about stability. What does it mean for the family if they were to move overseas and things like that? The next question that comes up from wanting to design a policy like this is, who is going to pay for all these solutions?
Yeah.
Who's going to really enforce these things? In the process of doing Job Hacks, we came together and really wanted to push out really crazy ideas, but through the different conversations with the different partners and agencies that were dealing with this problem, we had to kind of really look at what is a realistic policy that we can really create that will make a change. I think that's one of the key things that we learned.
Maybe to wrap this up, let's say you fast forward 50 years, right? So you're like, oh, I managed to be the pioneer youth panel leaders. What would you say to your 20-plus-year-old self?
You have started this and now see there are other people after you that have continued the work. So it shouldn't be just, me or us as a panel stopping there. I think it has to inspire and catalyze more action.
I would even go as far back as speaking to 15, 16-year-old me as well, just sort of honoring that child that I think wanted to do good in the world, and I make sure that the work that I do has impact on the people around me, and I can say that I've left the world a better place than I've entered it.
Make the best way you can, and not just for yourself, but also for the people around you.
Parts of my work now looks at how can I galvanize and bring on my own community into thinking more about these issues that affect us on a daily basis.
What would Singapore look like when you guys are 70, or you would hope that Singapore looks like?
A large thrust in our Tech Hacks panel was the idea of kindness. Let's just all be a bit kinder to each other. Can go a long way in I think, alleviating some of our disgruntles in the world.
So my hope is that we don't recycle solutions of the past, and we are always innovative, imaginative, to not be afraid to question the assumptions.
Singaporeans, wherever you are around the world that is financially literate, constantly upscaling in their own respective areas.
I hope that Singaporeans will be brave in wanting to own and take charge of their own narratives and charting a path that is uniquely theirs.
Why do you think it's important for government to partner citizens in this endeavour?
The government can't know everything. The government can predict all the different changes that's going to happen. So I think it's really important for citizens to feel like they have a stake in wanting to solve these problems. When citizens come together, I do believe in very beautiful ground-up movements that can sprout out. I think a lot of social issues that are being solved in a community right now are being solved by just very concerned citizens. Very small, beautiful movements of a community library or people giving out food donations and things like that. And I do think that that is what makes Singapore a better place.
What would you say to other youths around, and what is your call to action to them?
My call to action to the youths would be to not hesitate. Now is the best time actually for you to step forward and just contribute a little bit of your time.
My call to action is that it's easy. There are many, many platforms that you can contribute, and even if you don't feel like it's the right time for you now to contribute your time, learning about these different issues will help you give a better sense of what's going on in the world, what's going on in Singapore, what's happening to your communities or even the people that you love. I think that's really, really important given that the world is changing so fast.
Care for everyone around us and believe in yourself and believe that all of us have an inherent passion and desire and skill set to be able to help. Kindness at the end of it, I think, is always a good place to come from.
Everyone's blessed in one way or another. So I think to build a community stronger is to share that blessing. So in one way or another, do join because you never know who you help one day.
I think that's an incredibly special note to end the conversation on. For a Singapore that is brave, and for a Singapore that is rugged, and for a Singapore that's resilient and kind and considerate and green, I think it's important because that is what got us here in the first place. So thank you very much for this wonderful conversation, everyone. Want to give back? Have an idea? Partner the Singapore Government's Partnership Office.